The twin Blair brothers join us from Birmingham to reveal horror of home hell. Interviewed by Caroline Stevens for the Stepping Stones to Awareness Live. Caroline.
Welcome to a Stepping Stones to Awareness interview. I'm Caroline Stevens. Today I'm interviewing the Blair brothers. Yes, the Blair brothers, Bobby and Joseph, via Skype from Birmingham. Welcome, boys.
We were took into a room. Bobby was tucked to one bed, I was tucked to the other bed, but this was by older boys in the home, and we were both raped in front of each other.
So you all knew, so all the children in the home knew who were being abused, or were you all being abused?
We were all being abused. They used to come round at night times, and they'd open the door to the dorm, and they would just go in and just pick children randomly and take them out. And me and Bobby, I know it now, I didn't know it then, because we were identical twins. That was their fantasy. That's why we got abused as much as we did.
Yeah.
That's why we got picked on as much as we did.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, whenever Lord Hart dealt with our case, whenever the Northern Ireland inquiry opened, whenever we even making our statements, we made our statements in 2010. And even the police, you're talking about officers, not police, they were CID that specialise in dealing with rape and child abuse. Even our interviews, they had to keep stopping the interviews because they'd never heard abuse like ours. Our abuse was one of the worst cases to ever come out of Northern Ireland. They couldn't cope with it, and neither could we, because you're opening Pandora's box, if you know what I mean, and you're having to relive it all again. But we done it, and our inquiry in Northern Ireland, it started in 2013. Lord Hart came out of retirement to deal with that inquiry. And he done a brilliant job, him and his team. I can't knock them, neither would Bobby or nobody else. But we still, the inquiry, Bobby can tell you the date, I forget the date, it was the
the 21st of January 2017, Lord Hart found the state guilty of satanic abuse and in all the care homes, bar one.
Well, did that actually apply to all the care homes, would you say, then in Northern Ireland?
Yeah.
Yes,
it was bar one.
Bar one.
There was one house that he didn't find. Nobody. It's still ongoing at the minute.
Yeah.
It was just Kincora, the place was called. It was the only one he didn't find where satanic abuse wasn't happening in. But that's still an ongoing thing back home in Ireland.
So can I just go over a little bit? When you were taken into care,
Yeah.
were you being visited regularly by your parents, or had?
No.
Were they not allowed to come and see you?
They could come and see you, but they used to have, what they did back then was, not Kirkcalban, but when we were in St. Patrick's, if you behaved well and stuff like that, they let you go home at the weekends. You'd go home and spend the weekend with your parents or with grandparents or other family members. Well, we used to go home to your grandparents and stop with them. But even though that we were being abused in St. Patrick's, it's back then, it was, you didn't speak about that. Nobody would believe you anyway. Because back in Ireland at the time, if you couldn't trust a priest or a Christian brother, you couldn't trust anybody. And if I'd have said to my grandmother that it was being abused by priests, I'd have probably got a slap round the head and told to stop telling lies.
Yeah. I'm sure people would still say that these days as well.
Yeah,
They would, definitely. But it's like, because we run away from St. Pat's, because of the abuse we were having, we weren't allowed, we got that privilege took away from us to go home on the weekends. you lost your pocket money, you lost your privileges that you had. They gave you privileges on a score system.
A bit like blackmail, isn't it, really?
It is basically. But see, even like I had to watch the news today, and I've watched the news with the Pope going to the Southern Ireland and all the rest of it. And they're saying how good things are getting. They're saying, no, that the Catholic Church is sorry. Yeah. But at the end of the day, right, people like us, right, I don't know whether you can see this. If Bobby moves slightly, yeah, move more.
We were whipped. We were
Here.
beaten, whipped, abused and forced to perform sex acts on each other. Who's that person that you're pointing to?
That's Father Brendan Smith, the most prolific child abuser that ever came out of Ireland. He raped hundreds of children. He was in charge of the home that we were in, Kirkcaldy. He was there all the time whenever we were in Kirkcaldy. He raped us. But what they done with him, the Catholic Church knew what he was doing. He actually got took out of Kirkcaldy and he went to America. He abused children in America. He went to Africa, abused children in Africa, and then he went to Mexico and abused children in Mexico. Ireland actually had an extradition order on him, to get him back to Ireland, to prosecute him for child abuse. He admitted to about 300, I think, people that he'd abused. But whenever the photograph there shows you him smiling, but what you can't see in that caption, there's two police officers on the either side of him. He just got lifed off in prison. But as soon as he went into prison, I think it was about either 6 months into his sentence, he had a massive heart attack, and he died. And
how long was his sentence?
It's life imprisonment, 12 years he got. 12. In Ireland, 12 years he got.
Yeah.
But whenever me and Bobby have looked into this deeply, and when you different cardinals and all the rest of them, they were hiding it. They were hiding total abuse. Whenever we went, even the day I walked into the court, whenever we were in our inquiry in Banbridge, right? As soon as I walked into court, I asked, who's the two Christian brothers that are in this court? And I was told, Joe, we can't tell you who they are. I says, I want to know who they are, because I can't understand how the people could be in the same building as me that want to write reports on us and humiliate us. And it came out in the end that the Christian brothers let a brother go into that court every single day, right? And he sat there and read, he was writing reports out on each individual one of us. And all the way through the inquiry, not one, 533 victims in Northern Ireland came forward to St. Patrick's in Kirkcaldy. And he sat there and discredited every single one of us. The whole time through the inquiry, not one of our perpetrators ever sat there and admitted their guilt. Going through that is a horrible thing, especially for somebody like us who's been abused. When you have to sit in the courthouse and it's like you're on trial, you don't know what questions they're going to ask you. So in your mind, you're having to relive everything again and again and again. I had to take the diazepam to get myself into court because I didn't know how I would handle it. And when I took the diazepam the first time, I let everything go over my head because I was so angry at the way it was. And I thought, no, like why am I on trial? I haven't done anything wrong. But a lot of victims felt the same.
So were the victims talking to you? Were all talking to each other? Were you?
No.
You were.
You'd explain that, Bob.
Well, you're actually going through the inquiry. They might have about 3 or 4 people actually turn up on that day, and you would go in, one at a time, Me and Joe were took in separately. We weren't sitting there together like we are now, no questions and stuff like that. You were actually brought in singly, and then dealt with, put your evidence over, and said, basically gone through your whole case.
Were you giving evidence behind the curtain?
No.
So you actually had to face the people you were accusing?
No. The inquiry didn't run it that way. What they did was they would bring me into court. I would give my evidence and stuff like that, and then about a couple of weeks later, whoever I accused of abusing me, if they were still alive or whatnot, then they would be brought in weeks later to answer to the allegations, whatever child made. But like I said, it was really, really difficult because you're stood in the courtroom and big screens up and everything. But I mean television screens, because they had open days for the media and stuff like that. But I didn't even know why they were having open days for the media, because it wasn't really put out in the media, if you know what I mean.
They begged me and Bobby basically not to waive our anonymity. But I turned round in the court. I was asked 3 times, is this what you want to do, Joe? And I said, yes, it is. I want to waive my anonymity.
Sorry, who was asking you whether you wanted to keep going ahead?
The council, my solicitor. I never picked him. The government picked him. And he was turned around and says, no, Joe, you don't want to do this. And I turned round to him, basically.
So they were trying to coerce you, really, into retracting your statements?
Into retracting it. And I've gone, no.
You get so far, though, don't you? And you just think you've got to keep going.
Yeah, you do. And that's that's why I do my live blogs and do what I do at the minute. Because I was made aware, because of going through this inquiry, because the Jeremy Kyle show rung us. We went and done the show. They couldn't get us on the show quick enough. And they done a special show for me and Bobby. And we went and done it. And it was hard. It was a very hard show to do. But we did it out of wanting to get our message out there to the public about how much this abuse is getting covered over. And yet, they never even broadcast it.
They didn't?
No, we kept ringing them. And they turned round, their solicitors were turning round and saying, because our case was ongoing, they didn't want to jeopardise the case. The only reason our case would have got jeopardised if we'd have mentioned names. And we've never mentioned names. We can talk about the homes we were in, we can talk about what happened to us, we can talk about all that. The only thing that we're not allowed to talk about is names and give names. So we've got to protect our abusers more than we get protected. And that's so wrong.
How did Jeremy Kyle react when you told him about what happened?
Well, Jeremy Kyle actually said that, I mean, the show, after we did the show, they were telling us about how big this was going to be, because this needed to be put out and stuff like that. It's like I said, they couldn't wait. They rung me at 10 o'clock in the morning. The Jeremy Kyle show rung me 10 o'clock in the morning, and we were in a taxi on our way to Manchester from Birmingham by 1 o'clock.
Because that's how quick.
That's how quick they wanted to get us up there. And like I said, when they aired the show, we were waiting. They said it would take about 6 weeks to air, because that's the way they run. And 6 weeks later, nothing happened. And 8 weeks later, I thought, so we rung them up. And they kept telling us this was down to solicitors. We're arguing about it might jeopardise our case and stuff like that. And I actually turned around and said to them, I said, look, we waived our anonymity. We can talk about anything that we like. The only thing that we are not allowed to do is give names. They told us when we finished that, they didn't even have to edit anything.
No.
They didn't have to do one edit in that whole show, but it was never ever shown. And it hasn't been shown till the...
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do your parents, are they still alive? Did they know about what happened in the end?
They do, but we've lost our parents because
Different things have happened.
different things have happened to us throughout what we've gone through.
So we're not really in
So
contact.
we're not in
stuff.
contact with my mum only lives up the road from here. My dad, he lives in Blackpool, but no, we've me and Bobby, we've choose not to have nothing to do with our parents.
Disconnect.
We disconnected from them because
They can't handle the truth.
they can't handle the truth, and it's one of them. And at the end of the day, we accept that.
So, were you aware at the time about the satanic abuse, that it was satanic abuse? Were they actually using certain rituals then?
It wasn't as much rituals. It was they you know, at that time you're a little child. You're thinking, well, you're thinking all sorts. Why are they doing this? What are they doing this to me for, and things like that. And you see it happening to other children, and it starts going into your head: is this normal?
Yeah.
Is the way that, because what these people do is, because they're mainly dealing with children that come from broken homes and stuff like that, they're showing children kindness that are probably their own parents never ever showed them,
And love that
that their own parents never even showed them. So there was some sort of a ritual, as in saying it like that. You know, that they put their arms around you and give you a cuddle and stuff like that. And obviously, as a child, you wouldn't think anything was wrong with that.
A lot of people would have craved for that, wouldn't they?
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Like the
Yeah.
mum would have done,
Yeah.
especially.
Yeah.
And they would give children sweets. They would give you cigarettes. They would, well, basically, they were befriending you, or grooming, if you call
Grooming
it that
them.
way.
Yeah.
And it's I've always said that when you look at the scale of the abuse that's happening across the world with the Roman Catholic Church, obviously I'm older and wiser now. And the way I've looked at it is, when you see the statistics or what the abuse that's coming out, you're saying to yourself, hang on a minute, is this the biggest paedophile ring in the world?
Which it is.
Because that's what you're saying, because it's America, Australia, Africa, New Zealand, Belgium,
Mexico.
it's all over the world.
Has this changed your opinion about religion or Christianity?
We used to be altar boys.
You used to be what, sorry?
We used to be older
We used
boys.
to be altar boys, Catholic altar boys.
Right, okay.
We used to go to mass every Sunday, and we used to do everything. Now, it's ripped my religion apart.
I never even had my children christened.
You've had
because
your children.
I never even had my children christened, because I didn't put religion on my children. I've left my children open to, if they wanted to go to become Christians or whatever, that's entirely up to them. I've never said you have to become a Roman Catholic, you have to become a Christian, you have to go to church and stuff like that. I've never ever done that as a parent. Because it's obviously because of what's happened to me. But although in saying all that, I'm not saying for a minute that every priest in the world or every Christian brother in the world are bad people.
The thing is, you've got empires in the world, whether it's a corporation,
Yeah.
you've got empires in a school, you've got empires in churches, and it's all based on, you've got empires in political parties, the establishment. So people gather people around them who are of like minds.
Yeah.
They're like them, because most people who want to maintain a position of authority need people to respect them and to look at them. Do you know what I mean? You're part of the same team, aren't you? And you don't want people saying, oh, why are you doing this and why are you doing that? Because it upsets the energy, upsets the status quo, if you like.
It does, yeah.
So you only have to get a few people into a church, and we've got common purpose. You come across common purpose?
Yeah. But whenever you're talking about, from us as victims,
Yeah.
yeah, we're talking about children's innocence.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
can't bring it back.
You can never get that back.
No.
And you're talking about children that shouldn't have. Life's hard enough as it is, right? And when you look at children are so innocent, and they're not mature. They don't know what's right and wrong half the time.
That's why some of the older boys that held us down on the beds.
Yeah.
I've gone through we've talked about it.
Yeah.
And we came to the conclusion that that must have happened to them at some stage,
Yeah.
and they were fine-tuned to the Christian Brothers, and they thought that was normal.
Right.
They thought that was normal.
Yeah.
So I don't hold a grudge against them children for that, because they were children. Sorry, I say children. We were 12 years old. They were older boys. They were, what, 16, 17? But that could have been happening to them from a very, very young age, so they didn't know any different.
Becomes a vicious cycle, doesn't it?
That's
It
it,
does,
yeah.
it's not excusing what they did. They most probably turning around now going, why did I do that? Why did that happen? Yeah. I can't give the answer to that because we never did that. But at the end of the day, it's whenever you look at the psychological effect that has on your life, that has on their lives, that would have on any innocent child's life, yeah? It's the child that has to live with that all your life.
Yeah.
That happened to us whenever we were 12. We're 54 now. And every single day of our lives, you'll question some things, you'll agree with some things, you'll have a mind argument in your own head. No, why did I let that happen? We had no other choice. We were children. We weren't the ones that was in authority. They were. And we run away so many times, always to be brought back, to be abused even more.
How long was this going on? You said it started at 12. To what age?
16,
16.
16.
15, 16.
15, 16.
And then you left the home.
Yeah.
Yeah. We went into, me and Bobby, because of what happened in our lives, we actually became what they call institutionalised. Because
we were committing, when we were actually running away from these homes, what we used to do was we would run away from a home and go straight to my grandmother's house. And within a couple of hours of us actually getting to my grandmother's house, the RUC would come to the door, pick us up and take us straight back to St. Pat's again. And we did that a few times before we realised that they're just going to keep bringing us back. Yeah. So what we actually started doing was run away from the home, didn't go home to my grandmother's house. We were living in derelict buildings and stuff like that. And we were burgling shops to get food. Used to call them the old worn want shops, second-hand clothes and stuff like that people would give, like your cancer shops today.
Yep.
We were even breaking into places like that so that we could get clothes to wear and stuff like that, because we were actually living on the street, if you know what I mean. We actually broke into a school and were eating out of the slot bins in the schools from the meals that had gone out that day. And that's the way we were living for a bit. But in doing that, our crime, we were actually getting more and more into trouble by having to do things like that, which you know.
How did you turn your life around?
I wouldn't say it. I actually came my life didn't get turned around until I came to England. And I got into trouble a few times over here as well, but it wasn't until I actually got married that the trouble stopped. I was in a relationship for 26 years, never got into trouble, had 3 children, and that basically didn't get into trouble again. But like I said, the whole inquiry and what I lost my marriage, everything. It's cost me everything, this inquiry.
Has the inquiry finished now?
Yes,
it has finished,
yeah.
but where's the Irish government still haven't sorted the victims out. We still haven't had our apology. They wanted to build a memorial for us, which I don't think that they should do now, because the Irish government want to build a memorial for all the children that were abused and actually put it in Stormont, so that when the politicians walk past it, it's a constant reminder to them about what happened to children and that. But then again, that spoils it, because it's been nearly, in 5 months' time, it's been 2 years since the state was found guilty, and we're still being left in the lurch. The Irish government haven't wrote to us. We haven't got no correspondence at all whatsoever. We've just been left here, and people are dying. And it just looks like the politicians over there just don't care. Some of us victims, not us, but some victims have actually taken civil law cases out to try and get the compensation that was promised to us that we've never had. And how can the state be found guilty? And you've got politicians over there sitting on this, knowing right well that people are dying. They're not going to get justice.
Lord Hart made a statement to the Irish government and told them that they didn't need
an executive
to have an Northern Ireland executive to set up a review board, redress board, to start giving us victims what we need. They've ignored it. Amnesty International jumped on it because of the victims that were dying. And from 2013 to 2017, 60 victims died. Yeah. Now, we tried to find the stats out on that. Did they die of old age? Did they die of illness? Or did they die of committing suicide?
We don't know.
We don't know. But like I said, whenever the whole state was found guilty of Islamic abuse, why are we still sitting 2 years later with nothing? Me and him, we got assessed. It was the Crown prosecution paid for me and Bobby to be assessed £3,000 each by one of the biggest psychologists here in England. We were under mental health then while we were going through our inquiry. We basically, what happened to me and Bobby, people can Google it. Yeah. Me and Bobby were that bad because we never had no cognitive therapy. We were told by the best psychologist in England that we needed before, during and after. They said it would take up to 7 to 8 years just to try and see if they could work with us. But he even turned around and said it might not happen. But because of what we suffered, it might not work. But he found the mental health team here in Birmingham guilty of no help, wrong pathway of help, and neglect of care. Me and Bobby walked into Bourneville Lane Police Station. It's the biggest police station here in Birmingham. And we took the police station over. Me and Bobby went into the reception area and we poured petrol over each other and told everybody to get out. We did that
as a cry for
help. It was desperation because we wanted the media in on it. We wanted to know why. Why is the press not coming to us? Why is our message not getting out? And why are we being suppressed even more whenever we won the biggest case in Europe?
Well, I think the thing is, when you're dealing with something like the situation you've had, for myself and our mutual friends, we were very heavily involved in Brexit, and you know that the media is controlled. Yeah. You know that the government is controlled by and so you feel as if you're hitting your head against a brick wall because you can't get a message out.
You can't.
And it's only by, interviews like this.
Yes, but even this interview that we're having now, and I respect you for interviewing me and Bobby, of course we do, yeah, because we want to get the message out there. But what I want to get out there, right, is that every single parent in this country, yeah, or any other country, right, when you have your children, you bring your children up the best possible way that you can, yeah. But the abuse is that big. We want to protect children. We want children to go through what we went through. We don't want them to have the mental health issues that they're going to have all their life, right? Me and Bobby, I said that to Gary the other night. We want to make a petition going and get a petition started, yeah? And our leaflets are getting given out now. Yeah.
What was the petition to actually say? What was the wording of it?
Because we've just come on, everybody's starting to notice what we're saying now, and all this is new. So what they've done, I'll send you a copy later of the leaflet. There's 2 people now that are making the leaflets up of me and Bobby to go all around England to distribute to every march they go to, everything, so that we can get notice on our case. But what I want to do, I want to set up a petition. I want to be able to walk up to 10 Downing Street and go, there is 500,000 votes. Our children have got every right to be protected. Our children have got no right to be groomed. Our children have got every right to play in a park and not have nobody watching them to try and groom them. This is the message we want to get out there. If the government can't do that, what are they covering up? Why are they doing it? Right? We're the people that vote for them.
And that's another thing as well. There has been an awful lot of members of parliament getting accused of being paedophiles and stuff like that.
I mean, there are statistics. I read somewhere that in 2016, 164 MPs were on the sex offenders register. So I actually wrote to an MP, not my local MP, because I can't get a response from my local MP. I spoke to an MP who does respond. And I said, with this sort of statistics, you generally are not in a position to be telling us how we should run our lives. And he wrote back and said, there's no point in reasoning with people who believe this. And I thought, yes, I just said, and I named one of the MPs who's been in all the press for Class A drugs and rent boys and what have you. And I said, and how is he these days? No answer. You see, there's a lot more going on behind closed doors, and that's why the MPs can get whipped and get away with it and have these 3-line whips, because everybody has skeletons in their cupboard, and so they've got you by the short.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and so they get you to vote in a certain way.
Yeah, but we've got them by the short as well, because at the end of the day, whenever you elect an MP to represent your constituency, and help the people in that constituency, right, to have changes, to see changes, to do this, that and the other. That's what they get represented for.
They should be held accountable.
They should be held accountable for this.
They should always be held accountable by the people that voted them.
Well, I'm actually, strange you mentioning this, but I'm also not only the presenter on Stepping Stones, but I'm the deputy chairman of democracy174.org. And what we're doing now is I honestly believe that there is not one MP that should stay in Parliament after the next election. We have to get them all cleared out. We need to have MPs that are going to prepare to tell the truth, not be adhering to the global corporations, the City of London, having shareholdings in the NHS and green energy, because they've got these conflicts of interest, which they shouldn't have. And what we're doing is we're bringing all the groups together under the umbrella of 17.4.
Yeah.
Groups who wouldn't normally perhaps pass the time of day with. But if you have this umbrella, we just put one Brexit candidate in each constituency. And Brexit, anti-corruption candidate. Because the thing is, Brexit is those Brexiteers were trying to get their sovereignty back, which again is corruption, isn't it? Handing over your sovereignty to Brussels. So it's all sort of part and parcel. But we are going to avoid the splitting of the vote because the last election, the three candidates I had to choose from were all Remain people. So they're all part of the same old. Not admitting we were taken in illegally, not admitting to any of this paedophilia. One of our local MPs down here in our county is a guy, our county has the Mike Veal, did have Mike Veal. And look what he did. He tried to uncover the truth. And then the MPs they don't support him. They support the establishment. So there's no hope for them.
That's why I voted out. I voted Labour for years while Tony Blair was in there until I realised what he was actually doing. Then I didn't vote for a few years. And then when I look at the state of the country and the way it is now, I thought, well, hang on a wee minute, because I think like that. There's no point in voting for Labour. There's no point in voting for Conservative. Because they're all the same anyway.
But look at the two of you. You're both wearing different coloured T-shirts. One of you's wearing blue. One of you's now. Is it yellow or is it green?
Green. It's fluorescent yellow, actually.
I know we had a joke off air before the show.
I voted UKIP because I wanted that. Like I said, why should all our rules, regulation, everything be made in another country?
But my point is the fact that the establishment are really happy when we wear our green T-shirts or when we wear our blue T-shirts because we gravitate to those people quite often that are wearing the same colour T-shirt, and we stop speaking to the people who are wearing the wrong colour of T-shirt. That's the establishment's loving this. The people in purple they support fracking, but the people in the red T-shirts don't support fracking, and so you never getting a mixing of opinions, because in actual fact, do you just like red jelly babies? You might like purple ones, not quite so much. We're all a mixture, aren't we? We shouldn't all be of one colour.
Yeah, I agree. But you've got to turn around it still, regardless to what they represent or what they don't represent, right? You're looking at MPs now. They're not representing their constituencies. They're going against protocol.
Absolutely.
They're not doing what we voted them to do. So at the end of the day, right, whenever you look at issues, right, that mean a lot to the country, like immigration, like our children, like BritAx, are you talking about things that don't mean nothing? No, you're not. You're talking about things that do mean a lot to the people of this country.
Look at the scaremongering that's gone. We're all going to die if we leave the EU.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see a politician stand up there and say, why are you telling lies?
Well, I'd like to see a politician actually discuss and debate properly in Parliament, because a lot of these key information is not being debated. They're not discussing military unification in Parliament. Everything is whitewashed. The civil servants come along, produce a document, the MPs sign it. 90% of the Whitehall civil servants are for staying in. They're all indoctrinated. They live in a different world to the likes of you and me.
Yes,
and the sooner we clear them out, the better.
Yeah, but we live in the real world. See, these people, right? At the end of the day, whenever an MP represents his constituency, why can't he stand in the House of Commons and say what it is? He can't, because they're turning round now. A lot of MPs are scared to open their mouth now about about all the stuff that's happening in the country. Because as soon as you open your mouth,
You're getting called a racist.
you're getting called a racist straight away. You will lose power, but they're going to lose power anyway, because the public are starting to open their eyes. They're starting to turn around and going, who are you representing? You're not representing us as a nation, which they're not. They're proving that right now. And I could turn round, right? People that live in the real world, like us, right? See, if you give us the job in Parliament, right? We could run the country better than they can. And that sounds horrible to say, but there's a lot of people out there that believe it. I believe it because I wasn't born with a silver spoon up my, if you know what I mean. But they are. All they care about, a backbencher, 177,000 a year, and what they want a pay raise already. They're asking for a pay raise because they're having to deal with this Britax. They don't know what they're doing. And even to that was on the news yesterday.
Well, a lot of the MPs and MEPs, they have other jobs anyway.
I know they have.
That's just a networking exercise. They put selected people, because if you think about it, when you are chosen to represent UKIP or Tories or the Green Party, you go through a selection process. Yeah. So they are vetting you as to your suitability for the role, and what is that part and parcel of being suitable for a role as MP? Towing a line. It's an empire, isn't it?
Yeah, I get that. But even so, whenever they turn round and say that if you've been in prison for more than 12 months, you cannot be an MP. You cannot represent any constituency. Yeah. So where did Martin McGuinness come from? Where did all the terrorists end up in government for?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
because of the Good Friday.
They can change the rule whenever they want to, whenever it suits them.
Absolutely.
And that was done under the Good Friday Peace Agreement. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to go as a representative to Parliament to fight for truly what I believe in, right? Because I've done more than 12 months in prison, they'll tell me where to go. But whenever you look at whether you were IRA, UVF, INLA, whatever, right, you became a member of Parliament.
Or could be. Yeah. But
for people like us, you've got no chance. Because what? That was done under Margaret Thatcher and Tony Blair. Margaret Thatcher turned around and said she'd never bow down to terrorism. But she got the thing going. And then Tony Blair took over. No, sorry, it wasn't Tony Blair. It was, what do you call him, came after Thatcher.
I can't remember now.
I can't remember his name now. I'm trying to think of his name.
John Major.
John Major, then Tony Blair. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it. I love the fact that you've got peace in Northern Ireland today. Right? I'd never knock that for what it is. I'm not even having to go at the terrorists. Yeah, but if you look at Tommy Robson, yeah, look at the belief that everybody's got in him, because he tells it as it is. He tells the truth. He's saying it as it is, right? And I respect that bloke. A lot of people disagree with me, but I do respect him because he does tell the truth. I respect him because, excuse me, when he was going around exposing all the Muslim, Panastaki Muslim gangs for raping children. If you look at Rotherham, just on its own. Yeah.
Well, I think we've got the problem though is the fact that, you know, paedophilia, as you've highlighted, it's not just the Muslims. It's in the Muslim movement, and it's the church. It's MPs. You know, we've got Melanie Shaw in prison. You know, that's a terrible case where she should have been released and done nothing wrong. And you know, we're in a situation where if they choose to find you guilty before being innocent, they will find any excuse, which leads us to the European arrest warrants, as you know. Where,
Under the government, right?
yeah.
This is the bit that I can't get my head round, right? Their children, our children, everybody's children should be protected, right? Why is the government not exposing everything what there should be? Why is the media, the BBC, the Sun, everything, Sky, they're all turning their back on child abuse?
It's all about money and power and energy.
Yeah, but so are we going to live in a society where they want children to be raped every week, where it's okay, where you're going to walk through a park and see a child being abused and it's acceptable? That's not what I want in my life. So in my head, I can't get my head around it. That's why I want this to stop.
Well, together, I think the key is that if all these groups can come together,
yeah, I get that.
to put the personalities apart, aside,
Yeah.
because to be fair, a lot of it's kitchen sink stuff, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
We're focusing on whether they're black or they're white or certain background they come from, or what they said.
I've got black friends. I've got Muslim friends.
We need to unite.
I'm not tarnishing every single person that's a Muslim, black, Jamaican, Chinese, whatever. That's not what my issue is, right? My issue is that communities need to stick together, better together, right? Whenever it comes out about Rotherham, right, then the Muslim population should be coming out standing with us, going, we will not let this happen in our community. But they're not doing it.
Well, Joseph and Bobby, I think if we'll wrap it up tonight, I'd love for you to come back onto the show again.
Yeah. Of course we will.
And
we will.
It's been obviously a really harrowing story. I'd like to thank the viewers at home for listening. And have you got a message that you'd like the viewers to go away with?
Yes.
Support us.
Support us. All we want at the end of the day is for no child should ever have to suffer what we did. And we want to protect children in every society, because this is what needs done. And that all we're asking is for everybody to get together. Doesn't matter what race you are, whatever.
Yeah.
So just support us in what we do, and let's get
our children protected.
Let's get our children protected in this country.
We want that more than anything, right? We want children to be able to. But I put a song on today, right? Yeah, Whitney Houston, right? I believe that children are our future. Yeah, lead them well and let them show the way. Yeah, our children. We're all getting old now. Our children are going to be our future. Yeah. I want our children to be our future. I want our children to be protected. I want our children to have the right education and have the things in life that we didn't. Is that so much to ask for?
So how about if we agree that we unite for the sake of our children, for the next generation? Isn't that what we have in common?
That's what I agree with.
Yeah.
I don't care whether you're left, right, whatever. Yeah. What we fight for is the protection of our children. I think give them a future.
I think under the circumstances, when it comes to children, every single person
should be together
on it. It shouldn't be a divided thing.
It should be
everybody should unite on this, and let's get this sorted. It is a big problem in this country and other countries. Let's get something that here, get it in where children are protected. Every parent, auntie, uncle, granny, granda. How could nobody support that?
Every parent would want to die for their children, wouldn't they?
Every single parent would. I would die for my children if I had to.
I would.
And this is what it doesn't. There shouldn't be any divides on something like this. If you believe strongly in something so much, then let's everybody just get together and get something going where children in this society are actually protected.
Joseph and Bobby, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I hope I see you on a march sometime
we will.
soon. And
Definitely will.
let's do a chat, yeah, when we get together on a march.
We will
do.
definitely.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
for speaking to us.
Thank you for speaking, dears.
God bless.
And
God
you.
bless. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
And thanks to the audience at home. This was another Stepping Stones interview with Caroline Stevens with the fantastic and very brave Blair brothers. See you again soon. Goodbye.